Welcome on behalf of CAEL and DANTES. My name is Carolyn Swabeck, and I'm the Director of Community Engagement here at CAEL. And so my role is focused on member engagement and creating dynamic and experiential learning opportunities for our members. Thank you so much for joining us for our CAEL Learning Days. This is our two-part series in collaboration with DANTES. DANTES is the Defense Activity for Non-Traditional Education Support. DANTES has been providing education and career planning programs at no cost to actively serving U.S. service members, including those in the National Guard, Reserve components, and the Coast Guard for 50 years, as of July 31st, 2024. So this is a big year for both of us because we're both celebrating 50 years. DANTES manages a portfolio of programs and products that help more than 600,000 service members reach their personal and professional education goals annually. And so today we are focusing on empowering service members to pursue their education journey. Today we'll explore resources to aid service members to prepare them for their education through a number of programs that you'll hear about soon. And so with that, we can move to the next slide for just a few housekeeping items. Great. So as you can see, this is being recorded. We will be sharing this publicly on both of our websites and YouTube channels. We would love an introduction, so let us know who you are and where you're joining from. In the chat, you can drop your name, your role, your institution or organization. And we also love lively conversation, so please add comments and reactions as we go. It's really helpful when feedback is limited in the virtual space. And we'll also be collecting questions. There is a Q&A section at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. So if you have questions, try to put those in the Q&A so we can collect them and organize them, and we'll answer as many as we can. Next slide, please. So on behalf of CAEL, again, welcome. We are celebrating our 50th year as well. And for 50 years, CAEL has been committed to this vision of ours that every adult can navigate lifelong learning and career pathways that fuel economic mobility and community prosperity. And we achieve this through our mission, which is to engage with educators, employers, and community leaders to align learning and work so that adults achieve continuous long-term career success. And we can put a link in the chat just to let you know a little bit more about why we do our work. And on the next slide, just a little bit more about us as an organization. We are a nonprofit membership organization with over 5,000 members across the U.S. and internationally, which span colleges, universities, all post-secondary education, as well as workforce development providers, employers, nonprofits, public and governmental departments and offices that focus on adult and post-traditional learners and workers. And we advance this mission by providing expertise, resources, and solutions to promote and support improved pathways for adults looking to bridge education with a career. So very much in line with Dante's focus. And with that, I'm excited to introduce my wonderful colleague, Doug Heckman, Vice President of Partnerships, who has been working closely with me and others on our renewed focus and initiatives on the military-connected learner and worker. So over to you, Doug.
Hi, everybody. Great to see so many people joining us this morning. And a huge thanks to Carolyn and our friends at Dantes for helping to organize. I remember I think this idea came up during a community of practice meeting that we had. We've been working with higher education institutions in Illinois for the last year. And I think this idea stemmed from one of those conversations that we had with those representatives there. So I'm thrilled that this is finally, coming to happen today. So Carolyn talked a little bit about what CAEL is, and I think it's important that we remember how we do that work. CAEL always approaches our projects that we entertain and work on with a ecosystem approach. I think most of you would agree that very few problems can be solved in this very complex workforce arena without multiple partners taking part of the projects. And so we're always thinking about how to bring together the different sectors of that workforce ecosystem. So we work with higher education, of course. We've been doing that for 50 years, but we also work with workforce organizations, including workforce boards and organizations like Goodwill and Boys and Girls Club. We work with a lot of employers and industry partnerships, because at the end of the day, we want to help people get a job or a better job. And we also work with chambers of commerce and other city and state governments. So we're always thinking about how to link and connect the dots. And I think today is a great example of that, of bringing in Dantes to provide information to you all. And from what I'm seeing in the introductions, you're coming from all sorts of organizations, including higher ed and CBOs and state and city governments and chambers. So this is just really exciting. We'll be doing the same thing in our national conference in New Orleans a little bit later this fall. I hope many of you will be able to attend. We'll be having a special military breakout during that time to again bring together those of us who really care about the veteran population and their families. So that's a little bit about CAEL. Do I have another slide, or are we moving on to introducing Gina Perry?
You have one more slide, though.
Okay, you're not done with me yet. Oh, so I kind of talked a little bit about this, but CAEL has a long history of working with the military-connected population. I will say that Carolyn and I, late last year, started thinking about what else can we do? Like, can we have more of a refined focus on the military population? So we put together a strategy plan for the next few years, and we're thrilled when the executive team at CAEL gave us 2 thumbs up on us pressing forward with that. So we're kind of at the beginning stages of this, but we're really thrilled about the work that we can do with all of you around supporting this population. We don't want to step on any toes. We don't want to assume that we have all the answers, but we do think we can provide some value, and a lot of that is around helping to connect the dots like we're doing today. So with that, I want to introduce and hand it over to the actual stars of the show, and that's Dantes. And I'm going to introduce Gina Perry, who is on our military advisory team. She's been a long time friend of CAEL. I will hand it over to you, Gina. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, thank you so much. And good morning, everyone. My name is Gina Perry, and I'm proud to serve as the chief for Dantes Credit for Prior Learning and Data Analysis Division. I've been a CAEL member and ambassador since 2020, and have appreciated the opportunity to connect with CAEL members, community leaders, and leaders within the higher education space. I've also found tremendous benefit from the research provided through CAEL, particularly as it relates to the military connected learner. So Dantes is excited to bring you today's training. We're coming to you from Pensacola, Florida. We want to share information with you about our programs that can help you in your work with the military connected student. Now, as Carolyn mentioned, can we go to that next slide? She mentioned that our programs help service members gain the knowledge they need to achieve their educational goals, advance in their military careers, and successfully transition to the civilian workforce at the conclusion of their military service. It's often said, and I agree, that service members are the best trained workforce in the world. They're also very interested in pursuing their education. Carolyn mentioned that last year, nearly 600,000 service members participated in our programs. I'm very proud and humbled by that fact. One thing I would tell you is that this is voluntary education, so it is done off duty, and the dollar value of the time that service members dedicate to their voluntary off-duty education has been measured in the billions. It's significant. So on the next slide, I'm going to highlight our programs and our focus areas for today's webinar. So here it is. It's what we call our Pathway to Success, and it's really all of our programs set in a relatable Ready, Set, Go framework. Thinking back on our childhood, Ready, Set, Go is something that we're very familiar with, and so it's a touch point for us as well. So the Get Ready programs help service members prepare for their academic journey by bolstering their academic skills and helping them chart their path forward. Get Set programs help service members earn college credit for their knowledge, training, and experience. Our Go programs help service members take action, whether it's providing access to TA-authorized schools, helping them find the right school, or getting them ready for their deployment overseas. Today, you're going to learn directly from the experts, the program managers for the Get Ready and Get Set areas. And so let's turn to the next slide. So it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Marita Mack, Dante's College and Career Readiness Career Planning Program Manager, and Ms. Beth Austin, the Program Manager for Dante's Military Training Evaluation Program. These two are DoD subject matter experts. They're responsible for the planning and the delivery of critical vol ed programs for service members across the globe. Now, if you'll turn to the next slide, we're going to begin our discussion with the college and career planning programs to include academic skills training and Kuder Journey. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Marita to show you her programs, walk through her programs, and how they help service members get ready for their educational journeys. Thank you.
Hello and good morning to everyone. I tried starting my video, but I don't see my face. I'll keep it on start video and hopefully I'll pop up so that you all can see me and put a face with a name. It is an absolute joy to be here with you this morning. As Gina did such a kind and gracious introduction, my name is Marita Mack. I'm a program manager there at Dantes. I am thrilled to see so many academic institutions in here today, community colleges and universities. I do have a background in both of those arenas, although I have been back in the federal government for like the past 8 or 9 years. And then even prior to that, I was in the United States Air Force. So this is my world, and I feel thrilled to see so many people from institutions that I recognize and appreciate you for supporting my education while on active duty, as well as those members that are seeking out education these days. So good to see you. So let's get going here. Let's talk about something really important. One of the programs that we offer there at Dantes is called the Academic Skills Program. I'm sorry, next slide, please. It's called Academic Skills Training Program. You'll also hear us refer to it as OASK, which is an online academic skills course. So basically with this course, the thing that it does is it prepares our service members to get started with their learning. They can use the academic skills program at no cost to them. Within the program, they will be able to take a set of tests, pre-tests, if you will, and then their scores will be measured, and then they'll be recommended or prescribed courses to help them bring up those skill sets. So why is that so important? One of the things that it can do on a fundamental level is just get students excited again about learning. You know, as you all know so very well, we're dealing with the COVID generation. These service members and students, they have been out of, some of them lost a couple of years from the classroom due to the national pandemic that we have all struggled through. So academic skills at a minimum can get them at least excited about learning again, to kind of let them know where they are and let them know what they have to do to get to the next level. So in doing that, it can also prepare them, improve their test scores. So there'll be times where service members may have to take a TABE test or a placement test to determine where they are level-wise. And if they do the academic skills training course, there's a great likelihood that they can dust off some of those old skills and land directly into college level classes, as opposed to remediating, which, you know, is helpful and beneficial. But if they can advance beyond that stage, that'll help them get further quicker and also save them funding. Next slide, please. So within the AST program, the program is online. It is self-paced, meaning that service members can do it at their own leisure. Or if you have like a lab or something set up within your learning environments, they can come and do it there. And so, you know, they can do it asynchronously, meaning they can do it on their own at their leisure. So it can go out in order to get them prepared for the academic skills training program. They will need to register. at Dantes. Once they do that, they'll receive a code that will allow them to log all the way into the system, and they'll take a pre-assessment exam. And it's basically diagnostic exams with a bunch of fundamentals worked into it. Once they've completed that pre-assessment, Peterson's will use what's called an academic predictor based on the test scores from their pre-assessments. And then it will show what all they need to do to get to a successful level in the post-assessment. So that's all done functionally within the program. And then once they take the post-assessments, they'll be given an opportunity to receive a certificate of proficiency, which can demonstrate, to them, most importantly, and to academic institutions that they are at a level of proficiency. Also, military members can use that as a document to put in their work folders. It looks good upon their energy and their aggressive conduct towards being professionals in their skill sets. So it looks good to have it as a part of their military education record as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so the program, by saying that the academic predictor will tell them precisely where it is they need to go and what they need to do, all of that is just based on adaptive learning. So within the adaptive learning environment, these service members will have the test questions that are directly mapped to learning objectives. So based on their pre-test, they'll get questions directly linked to their learning objectives for their post-test. It's all of the content within the program is linked to learning objectives. The results will identify where the areas are lacking. So in the event that service members are lacking in a specific area, they are given remedial tasks to help them overcome that lack and get to a level of success. Now, they are allowed to take the pre-test more than once, but it's not necessarily something that we kind of encourage, because they're not trying to beat the pre-test. They're trying to challenge themselves to successfully and safely get over to a level of full understanding. But I've been in environments where service members will try to take it and retake it and retake it. And it's kind of like, in a way, kind of like missing the point. So although it is a thing that is allowed, it's not something that I inherently suggest or recommend. Next slide, please. Okay, so built right into the Peterson's program, there are a number of tools that are used to help service members achieve a level of success. So the vehicles of instruction are their lesson plans, guided lesson plans that are given. There are videos, like 2.5-minute videos that they can watch to kind of refresh their memory and play them as many times as needed. Animations are included. Flashcards, which I find very useful because they're even able to download them and use them even when they're not necessarily in the program. For the math section, they're given pre-printed formula sheets to save them the frustration of trying to go back to high school or wherever they left off with instruction and recall that. So the formula sheets are included. So they're quizzes and practice tests all built within the program. Service members, as I mentioned earlier, are able to do it asynchronously, but they can also use our mobile app, which is very useful for our service members who are deployed or are expecting to deploy and may not have access to internet connection. I know that seems like days long gone, but it is something that is still very real for our service members. So we do have the app for their download. Thank you for the slide. Next slide, please. So this is something I wanted to talk about. There's one of the new features, probably about the last 2 years, that's incorporated within the OASC. Is the Tutor Me option. It is a live tutoring option. Service members can log in, and the estimated wait time to get a live tutor on the line is like 57 seconds. And there are tutors available to cover all of the subject matters from the online academic skills course. Those people will sit online with them and walk them through any areas that are difficult. And there's even a component that's most helpful. They have a writing lab. So if your service member is being challenged with some writing English deficits, if they need to do a writing sample, for example, they could do a writing sample and provide it to the writing lab, and there's someone there that will critique that writing and return it to them within a 24-hour period. So we do capitalize on the use of the TutorMe feature. As educators and administrators and facilitators of all the programs in all the schools, this may be something you all want to sign up for yourselves if you have like a military credential, and just see it for yourself how it works live. The TutorMe feature is very surprising and most helpful, and the service members can record that session in case they need to play it back. So I definitely want to speak about TutorMe. Next slide, thank you. Okay, so along with access to the program, as an online academic skills course administrator, you will have access to a litany of wonderful training tools. All of the print resources for online academic skills, if you wanted to print them in your office and use them as handouts for service members who may come in looking for guidance or support. Those things are available on the DANTES website. And also we have a litany of training opportunities that just live out on the internet of previous online academic skills webinars that are there, with the program innovators actually guiding the discussion and taking educators and administrators through the program. So you may find some value there to kind of soothe your interest in the program. Wonderful bevy of resources. And of course, we are here for you as well. We are always a click away. Next slide, please. Okay, now at this point, I want to talk to you about a different program that we offer for our service members, and it is called the Kuder Journey program. And what Kuder does is it allows our service members to go in and take a set of assessments to determine, to help them determine what it is they want to do with their futures. I just find it always striking when service members come in and say, hey, I need you to tell me what I should be when I grow up. And while that's a compelling question and a bit of a challenge, that is not necessarily something we like to do. We would like for them to take that opportunity for themselves. Kuder Journey is based on the Holland theory of vocational code. So just in the chat, how many of you have seen this this illustration before? You all are out in education, out in the field. I'm sure it's probably familiar to a lot of you. Yeah, so that is the background for Kuder. It is based on Holland Code and developed by John Holland in 1959. And also, I think it's important to say that this program has been in our portfolio there at Dantes for 20 years, maybe 21 years. And so it's part of our portfolio and something that's been tried and true down through the years. And I still find it interesting to go through this process with service members. And so the theory states that that people basically fall within the 6 personality types. And those types are the realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. And so when service members go through the process of doing those during the Kuder Journey assessments, they are basically placed into two of these 6 categories to help narrow down what their future outlook could possibly be, just based on their strengths and their inherent responses to the assessment questions. And so the people that fall into the realistic category are people that tend to be assertive, competitive, interested in activities that require motor coordination, skill, and strength. Investigative are the people that are just natural thinkers. And while I'm going through this, I want you to think about the people that you know personally that fall into these categories, because once you're given this structure, you can kind of see it offhand, especially for people you know very well. So thinkers are people that like working with ideas and concepts. And then there are people that fall into the artistic category. And those individuals like to do things outside of the box. And so they're a little bit more artistic and creative, and you'll find a lot of our actual, you know, artists, creators that fall into that category. And then the social are the helpers, people who like to serve and help others. I hope everyone in this chat, everyone that's in this webinar, this Zoom, can raise their hand on that one, because you have to have a bit of that in order to do what it is we do in support of our future, right? And then there are people that will fall within the enterprising category, and those are persuaders, people that like to lead people, have excellent social skills as well. And then there are the conventional personalities, the organizers. People are accurate and methodical. They like for things to be done on time, and they strictly adhere to rules and regulations. Yes, when I say that, I'm seeing several of my phenomenal colleagues when I say that out loud. Next slide, please. Okay, so what area do you think military, just put it in the chat, which area do you think military personnel inherently fall into? Okay. Conventional, yeah, we get conventional a lot, social and conventional. Yeah, those are our normal responses. But it may surprise you, service members come in as enterprising, and that's us as a collective. All of us as a collective come in more so enterprising, and then following that, investigative, social, conventional, realistic, and artistic. And so, you know, I just think it's interesting to see that as a collective, we do come in as enterprising. And I can say from my experience, while on active and post-active, from what I see amongst the troops now, I can see that to be true. We are a collection of people that can really do anything. So, so part of the benefit of employing the Kuder journey is that it can help service members get organized and help them make a smooth transition. We want to make sure that they get into their educational opportunities and their career expansion opportunities as early as possible, you know, as early as their career will allow for it, and that they revisit it often so that when it is time for them to leave, that they have some sort of plan together. So by employing the Kuder journey for the service members, it will allow them to just get started in one nice, concise place. They will also gain plenty of insights from the experience. It will give them reliable results. And with the Kuder journey being so well researched, it's been around for a long time. And so that can give them the confidence of the accuracy and validity of whatever it is that they are going to pursue going forward. Yes. So I apologize again. Can we go down to the next section, please, and pick back up where we left off there? I managed to get those slides out of order. I apologize. Down. Yes, thank you. Okay, so, oh, I'm seeing questions over here in the chat. I apologize. I will come back and take care of those, okay? Bear with me, please.
Don't worry, Marie, but I've been capturing them.
Okay.
So we'll
Okay, sure.
we've
Oh,
got
golly, you all are amazing. Thank you. Thank you. So, in order to get started, I've given you a little background on Kuder and why it's such a good opportunity for service members and the ways in which, they'll benefit from using it. But now, in order to do it, they'll need to register on our website. We have a special link on our website that is just for our military service members on the Dantes website. Kuder provides a special version of this program to us, but they are a world-renowned company that provides Kuder services to many top industries. So, if you ever do any research on the company, they alone, you're going to find that they are internationally known and award-winning. They're awesome. But for us, they have a special version that they've catered and tailored to the military. So once they've registered, the service member will need to do 5 simple steps. And basically, they will take an assessment. And based on those assessment results, they will be directed deeper into the program to explore some of the careers that are connected to their assessment results. Once they have gone through that process, then they can start planning for that career. And what I mean by the planning step, that's probably the most important step because we not only want people to be in careers that match their personality types, but there are other needs that have to be met as well, as far as salary requirements and where is the job being offered? Is there an emerging field where that job is being offered? We don't want to just send them out into the world with some arbitrary mission to go find this work. Through the planning phases, they are offered an opportunity to see what all goes along with the career. And also, I would like to mention that Kuder, all of their information is drawn from the reputable sources, all of the BLS.gov, all of the government-based data sources. It's not just the sources that they've compiled in-house over the past 50, 60 years, because it's been around for a long time. But their information comes directly from the federal government-based information sources. So once they have gone through with that plan and they can see what it looks like, then there's an opportunity for them to search through the academic institutions right there within the Kuder Journey system. And they can search right there for which schools offer what they're looking for, which schools will align best with their GI Bill benefits, and help them narrow down the school by region and things of that nature. It gets really down to a granular level to kind of help service members stay focused and give them some realistic responses to what they're interested in doing. So the benefits to the service member are endless. They are given a no-cost opportunity to go into a world-renowned program based, very well-based in research, been around for a long time. And what Kuder does for the service member that does enroll in that program is they're given lifelong access to it. They're given lifelong access to the assessments that they have taken within the Kuder Journey system. Because say if you have a service member that's taken it, early on in their career, and they've gone on to separated, now they're, post-military, they may want to go back and take it again to see where they've grown and how they've changed and how life has changed them. I'll say that. There's also a handy resume builder incorporated into Kuder Journey. What you get with service members a lot of time is we have a really good understanding of how to speak like military professionals. But when it comes to converting that into civilian speak, it can be kind of overwhelming for service members. So there's a resume builder in there, a template that asks them some of the fundamental questions about what they've achieved in their military careers or other employment experiences. And it compiles that information and organizes it for them. And it kind of takes some of the fear and intimidation off of it being, starting from scratch. Um, and for service members that go in searching for career opportunities, Kuder even has a feature where they can search based on their military training codes. So, for the Air Force, it'd be their uh, uh, AFSC, for the Army, whatever they did in the military, there is a code associated with it. And so if they don't know how to convert their military jobs into civilian speak, they can put those codes into the Kuder Journey system and it will direct them. So that's a handy tool. There are also financial aid resources that are available that will direct them to you all. I see a few people from financial aid in here. Welcome, welcome. It's a very important, difficult job. And also, like I said earlier, college and university search is helpful to help them narrow down what's available. And then lastly, there's a segment in Kuder that helps them prepare for the interview and a job search with some interview questions based on the fields that they're studying in, or the fields that they aspire to work in. And so those are helpful tools that they can download and use for practice, if you will. Okay. Next slide. So for our people out in the field who serve in the role of recommending or administering the Kuder Journey to service members, will provide you with, again, unlimited training opportunities. There's a database that's available where we can print results for your base, but you have to route that through me and I can get it to you. The Kuder team, they're phenomenal as well. They have live support 24/7 if you run into something and we're not available to you immediately. And we have marketing and materials that can be downloaded from the DANTES website for printing so that you can use at your education events or circulate out in your offices. They're handy dandy on the DANTES website. All right, next slide. Okay, well, I am thankful for the opportunity to take you through both of the programs. I apologize for not tracking over here the questions, but I'm happy to go back and we'll do them one by one. Carolyn, thank you for capturing those for me.
You are so welcome. So I'm going to start as they have come in. And so
Okay.
our first question is from James, who asks, what are the eligibility requirements for a higher education institution to become a testing/learning center? That's part one. So I'll let you answer that and then I'll get to part two.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, we do have uh, uh, a program manager on our team that handles national testing centers. And that gentleman is on Gina Perry's team. I will definitely, I'm going to put together an email and I will copy Matt for you. And Matt will definitely provide you with everything you need to know about NTCs. He is an expert, and I think he'll be briefing on the second day of the CAEL learning days. So, but prior to that, I will get a response. I'll get you connected with Matt.
Fantastic. And would Matt be the best route to apply for approval to be a testing center?
Yes, indeed. Matt is the expert. He will give you the most up-to-date details on that, and he's consummate professional. So you're going to be well taken care of in that vein. But I'd be happy to start an email and just copy my colleague on that.
Awesome.
You'll find him wonderful to work with.
Yeah. And we can make sure to include that in our follow-up, when we send out the recording and slides, we'll make sure to have his contact information in there too.
Definitely.
Uh, Next question is from Wendelin, who asks, who would be considered an administrator on the Kuder/Dantes portal?
That would be me for Dante's. I would be an administrator. Are you trying to establish an account? Are they able to speak, Carolyn, or no?
They are. So Wendelin,
Okay.
let me
I'm
myself.
sorry. I'm not trying to confuse you
No,
out there. Mhm.
let's get clarity on these questions. So, Wendelin, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to talk if you want to add a little bit more context to your question.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And really, I was just clicked onto the website, and you mentioned in terms of creating an administrator's website, and I was there was someone at an institution who was typically the person who would be that administrator.
In this sense, it's going to be, I will be able to give you access to the administrator account once you get established in the system.
Okay.
And so if you go ahead through, I'm sorry, on the Kuder website and register.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome, and welcome aboard. You will enjoy the experience of using Kuder. It's a fun program, and it's something that I do for myself, over every other year or so, just to keep myself updated on the ways in which I've changed. So you'll see your own growth and development in there. It's fun. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Wendelin. And thank you, Mariva, for answering these questions. The next is from Cheryl, and I think this is referring to the Kuder journey and the fact that it's available at no cost over a lifetime to service members. And just clarifying, is that available to retirees as well?
Absolutely.
All right. Fantastic. And then I did see a question pop in the chat from Mark, so I'm going to go over there for a second. Mark asks, are there any restrictions who at a college or university can register for a Dantes account and administrator in the Dantes Kuder journey?
Once you go in the system and register, we will definitely vet your background, and based on where you are, your accessibility may be limited depending on what your duties are for that school. But we try not to put out a blanket statement, because then that discourages individuals from registering. But every registration is viewed individually, and based on what it is you do at the school, uh, your access will be granted in that manner.
Okay. So is there any general criteria you look for, or is it really depend? You do
Well, as a general rule, academic advisors, people that are in the advisement world, that's who it would apply to. But then I've worked at schools where people do wear three hats. They're an advisor, the financial aid counselor, and the VA certifying official. So again, we may come back and say, what capacity is this role featured at your school? Just to get a clear understanding of what it is you're attempting to do. We want as many people on board as possible, but we have to always act in good faith, and I'm sure you all would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Every institution is different. Wonderful. Well, this is a great question and not a plant at all, but James is asking, who would be the best point of contact for requests to have a similar presentation be given to the Veteran Services Military Regional Representatives and Chancellor's Office for the California Community College System?
Oh, wow, that's a wonderful question. Are you sure that's not a plan, Carolyn?
I swear.
Miss Emily Bachman, she is our Director of Outreach, and she is behind the scenes, always somewhere behind the scenes. So I'm sure she's on this call. She will be the best POC, and her information will be provided once we get to the end here. Yeah, but thank you for the question, and it's an honor to even hear that request read aloud. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. It really means that this, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the chat. I know you've been presenting, so probably not, but lots of comments of how this is really helpful and just a lot of appreciation for this. So this is
I'm glad to hear that. I noticed that Kelly Crawford. Kelly, are you on the line still? Certified in the strong interest inventory based in Holland. I'd like to hear more about that process. I know we only have a few more minutes, but if Kelly's on the line, I'd just like to hear about that real quick.
Yeah, before Kelly, I see you unmute you for a second, but I did have one more question come through.
Yeah, sure.
Could you talk a little bit more, Mariba, about the writing lab?
Oh, certainly. So the writing lab, there are times when we'll have individuals that are with English being their second language, and they might need an enhancement for their English. And so in needing that, they'll be requested to provide a writing sample. And so those writing samples can be submitted within the online academic skills program to an educator who will review that writing and mark it up and send it back to the student. There'll also be times where service members, they have some learning deficits in just basic English 1 and English 2. And, the prescribed learning objectives within the program may trigger that they need to do a writing sample to close that gap. And I hope that sounds okay. In the prescribed learning, it may say, in order to close the gap on this learning deficit, we recommend that you provide a writing sample. And then they'll provide the service member with a writing prompt. They will answer the prompt, and at the bottom, they could submit it, the draft copy, to the writing lab to look at it and critique it for them. And so I hope that sounds coherent, but it is a huge plus up. And the turnaround period on it is very swift.
Oh, that's amazing. Erin
Mhm.
also dropped a YouTube link in the chat. That's a great explanation video to kind of support what you're talking about, Mariba. So
Oh, thanks, Erin.
yeah,
Mhm.
what a supportive group of people we have on this call. So I know you wanted to chat with Kelly real quick, and we do have a few more minutes before we go to break. So I just want to let the audience know we'll be taking about a 10-minute break before we move to the next half of our learning days, just to give folks a chance to stand up, get some water, etc. But before we do, Kelly, I'm gonna unmute you and let's chat more about Holland.
Just real quick, Kelly, you say that you're certified. What was that process like, and where did you attend for your certification?
Hi, thanks for asking.
You're
So
welcome.
it's been a long time ago that I was certified. We became certified in our career services office probably about 10 years ago. So the company that did it then does not do it any longer, but it's through the Myers-Briggs company now. So
Right.
so basically what it is, it's a really intense, and I want to say it took us probably about 8 weeks to do it. It may be different now, but it really takes this deep dive into Holland Code and understanding how to interpret it for our students. And it sent us through some really amazing scenarios and things that we had to go through. The final test for certification was a huge scenario. So it was really good because Holland Code, I love it. I think it's very valuable. But doing it through this certification process gave us a really good in-depth look at the dimensions of what each of these characteristics in REASIC code are all about,
Yes.
and how we can really effectively help students better understand where they're coming from and then connect them with majors and then careers down the road that are going to be something that they want to do and something that they like to do and that they find that they have the skill set to do.
Oh, that is wonderful. Thank you so much for your input and your words, and kudos on your achievements.
Thank you.
Thank you to the entire audience. You all have been great. The engagement in the chat has been great. I am thrilled to have been here, and I thank you for your time. And I thank you all for the support in the background. You all are amazing people. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. And I did just want to clarify, Gwendolyn asked about the administrative database account creation. And Mariba, are you saying folks should email you?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yep.
Okay. Wonderful.
And I can do a mass if you're interested here. If you're interested in having an admin account for the Kuder journey, send me an email and then I will mass enroll you all and send you your codes here momentarily.
Thank you, Mariba.
No problem, Gwendolyn. I'm sorry for the confusion there, but I'm happy to just mass enroll all of you and I'll send you your codes.
Fabulous.
Mhm.
I think that's answering a few questions here. So I know Aaron has been busy dropping other helpful supplemental information in the chat. So if folks have missed that, make sure you download the chat if you're able to, which you can do by kind of clicking on that paper that has a corner folded down, and that'll allow you to download the chat. We'll also make sure to download it and share, but there's just so many great links that have been shared and great questions. I want to say, thank you so much to you, Mariba, for giving us such important information. There's such a wealth of resources available, and I feel like we're probably just scratching the surface, right? But there's so many support systems out there for our military service members. So thank you to you and Dantes and everybody at Dantes for all of the work that you're doing.
Oh, wow. Oh, with pleasure. Thank you.
Well, at this point, if you want to move to the next slide, I don't see any more questions in the chat, but if there are, please put them in of time. We're going to take a little bit of a break just because this is, a lengthier webinar. We want to give folks a chance to stand up, get food, get water. And so we will be taking a break. We'll return here and get started. Be ready to get started at 12:10. So maybe get back to your seat at like 12:09 and turn your cameras on. And we will see you all soon. But until then, feel free to turn your cameras and mics off, step away from your screen, and enjoy this little break time before we hear from Beth. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you back here in about 15 minutes.